Hello, so today we'll be talking about multi-varied response analysis in SPSS. So what is MVA, which is multi-varied response analysis? Okay, so this is a kind of a piece of information that can have more than one value for a single entity. Okay, so let me show you a quick example. So here's the questionnaire. Okay, so we're looking at question 6, which says, what is your primary source of income? Okay, so that means the respondents could either choose farming, trading, formal employment, or other. That means they can select more than one option here. If they want, they can mark everything. But now the question is, how do you create frequency tables in SPSS for such information? So before I move on to creating that, let me just show you what happens when we try to create frequency tables without actually transforming our data. So I'll quickly go in my SPSS software. So we'll go on File, and let's just open a data set. So we go on Open, New Data, okay? And then it's actually saved on my desktop, so I can just navigate desktop. And then here you can see that I can't see anything because the extension is an Excel file. So I have to change here into an Excel file extension. And then there we are. I have all the Excel files in my folder. So I'll select it and then I'll click open. Right, just give it a minute to load. Okay. All right, here we are. Click OK, and then it will load. All right. So I've actually, okay, ignore these variables. I'll come and explain what is actually even happening here. Okay, so remember the question is, what is your primary source of income? And from our questionnaire, we can see that the participant who can choose farming, trading, or everything, or two of these, or three of these, okay, or all the options. All right. So now we want to see how we can analyze such data. So imagine, remember that if we don't do any transformation, this will be our data. It will be arranged in such a case. So if I go on analyze, and then let me go on descriptive statistics, maybe frequencies. Let's go on frequencies. Then I choose this variable. Okay, then I'll go on statistics. Okay, I don't want any statistics at the moment. So I'll just simply click OK to display the frequency tables. Okay. All right. Now you can see that this is actually your frequency table. Okay, so what is your primary source of income? So what it means is that under farming here you have about one is missing. Then under farming here you have 76. But again, you can see farming again here. You can see farming there and farming there. It's totally messed up. Okay, so this will give you a headache when it comes to interpreting what your results actually mean. So that's why the issue of transforming your data, multi-value response analysis in SPSS comes in. So we need to code our data set in such a way that our frequency tables will not give us a headache when it comes to interpreting. So how do we do that? So let me open my Excel file. All right, so I have already coded this data. So I just want to tell you what is actually happening. What is actually happening here, right? What's going on? Okay, so let me just hit backspace, mark the formula. Okay. All right, so let me just go back. Okay, that's a 0. Yes, it is correct. Okay, so let me explain what is happening here. So remember, going back to the questionnaire, the question is, what is your primary source of income? Okay, when I open my Excel file, and these are the options. Remember, someone can choose more than one option, more than 2 options, 3 options, 4 options, or everything. So going back to my Excel file here, what I have now in this column, these are the actual responses that I downloaded from my questionnaire. That is the way it is. And this is what I analyzed in SPSS. But you don't have to do that if a participant can choose more than one response. Instead, what you have to do, you need to code your data in such a way that the frequency tables that you create are neat. So what we are going to do is we have 4 options that the participant can choose from. So what is your primary source of income? That means the participant can choose trading, can choose either, can choose formal, can choose farming, or sometimes can choose farming and formal employment and other trading or everything. Okay, or everything. So what it means is that we have to code this into zeros and one. So what does the 0 and 1 actually mean? So it will mean that if a participant select trading as their source of income, then it should indicate 1. If a participant selects farming as their source of income, then it should indicate 1. If they do not select that particular option, then it should be 0. Okay, so here's the logic. So before you think of doing anything, you look at the options, all right? You look at your options. So how many options do I have from here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 options. So going back to my Excel file, I'll need to call to create or insert 4 new columns. Okay, so these are the columns. So 4 new columns. Okay, so the first column I will name it trading. The second column I will name it other. The third column I will name it formal, and the fourth column I will name it farming. Okay, so now when you do that now, okay, so now when you do that now, you can begin with your coding. So remember, it will be very tedious for you to look here. For example, I come to the what it means. Initially, what I'm supposed to do is I check here. For example, there is trading, so I go in the trading column. I write 1, since we said when you write 1, it indicates that the participant selected that particular option. All right. So I go in the column which has other. So that means the participant didn't choose that option. So I indicate a 0 and I indicate a 0 on the rest. So it means that if I'm doing it manually, this is a large data set. Okay. It's going to take me quite some time to finish this task. So instead, there's actually a formula that I've actually written here on top. Okay, so the formula is actually it's complex, especially if you are not familiar with Excel formulas. So that's why I like Excel, because when it actually comes to Excel, I just use functions, then I'm okay with it. So here is the function. When I select here, this is the function that I'm using. So you can just copy this, yeah, and use it in your analysis. So that is the formula. So what does the formula do in simple terms? So the formula checks whether the text, for example, in this case, we are looking at which one? Let me click here, farming. So the formula will check whether the text farming exists anywhere in cell E2. This is cell E2, okay, as the reference. This is cell E2. So it will check if farming exists in cell E2, okay? So what will happen is that if it does exist, the formula will return a 1. If it doesn't exist, the formula will return a 0. Okay, so now let me go back to my SPSS now. Now that I have already coded the data and all I have to do is I have already imported it. So in my SPSS now, I'll go on, analyze, descriptives, okay, frequencies, okay. But here I've got a problem again. I can see trading, other formal farming. They are more like they are separate variables. So I want to put all these 4 into one, since they are coming from one question, which I'll consider as one variable in my case. So how do I do that? So let me just go back. I'll go on analyze again. Now you go on the multi-response analysis, okay? Then click here on the define variables, and all you gotta do is select the first one, hit your shift key on your keyboard, and select the last one, and then make them cross to the variables insert box. Okay, there we are. So here what I'll put is 1. All right, why am I putting 1? It is because of the scale that I've put. So if a participant selects a particular option, it will be returned as 1, which is true. So the next thing that I have to do is I have to give this a variable a name. So I'll name it as source of income. Let me name it source. Okay, source of income. Source of income. All right. So if you are not familiar with naming variables in SPSS, you can check out also some videos. Remember, in SPSS, you are not allowed to leave the spaces in between the words. All right. So after doing that, all I have to do is click add and then close this. Then I'll go back to my analyze tab again, then descriptive statistics. Okay, then go on frequencies. All right. Sorry, I don't have to use this. I'll go on analyze, go on multi-value response. You now see that there are two more options which have been activated, which is the frequencies and the crosstabs. So I'll just choose the frequencies since it is the one that I need. So choose frequency, and now you can see the variable that you have just created, and now just put it in this other box. Okay. Right, so you can select here what happens to your missing values, exclude cases list-wise within dichotomies, exclude cases list one within categories. Okay, so for now, I just want to put you, I'll select the first one. And what I want is, I just want you to get the logic for now. So click OK, and let us see our frequency table. Okay, so the first one is just the case summary. Okay, it goes that, it gives you the number of missing variables. You have one, which represents 0.5%. Okay. And now you have your frequency table. Now compare this frequency table and the one that we had in the first place. Look at this, totally disorganized. So if you have a lot of options that the participants can select from, that means your frequency table will be more messed up if you don't transform your data. So looking at the last frequency table that we have obtained now, it's actually easy for us to even interpret. So source of income, what it says is that source of income 199, sorry, cited farming as their source of income, which represents 56, okay, 56.7, okay. Then formal employment, 17. Other, 8. Then trading, so 127 cited trading as their source of income. And the total here, the percent, you have 100. But here is an interesting thing. You have the percent of cases here, which is more than 100%. So remember that this is a multi-value response, okay? So participants have selected actually more than one option. Then that means they can choose 2, 3, 4. That is why you have this kind of percentage. Okay, so one thing to note also about the multi-value response analysis is that this is a one-time session thing. So the moment I exit my SPSS file, I will no longer find this variable, which is here. Let me go again. Okay, multi-value. Okay. So what it means is that the moment I exit or I close this SPSS, this variable source of income will actually disappear. So that means if you code this and you make the variables, you have to do the analysis there and then. That is the only disadvantage. But it's quite easy when you code your data into zeros and ones. You can simply log in and also make this variable again. So you should notice, you should remember that this is a session. It's based on session. The moment you log out, then you will lose this. So this is actually how we can handle multi-value response. So in a case you are met with such kind of data from questionnaires or any other sources, remember to do this and not to have like this table above. All right. Thank you so much for your time and see you in the next video. For any questions, you can inbox me or you can drop them in the comment section.